You guys left me some spicy comments on my last video, and honestly, I love it. I mentioned that I thought owning a home was a good investment, and some of you were not having it. So today, I went full numbers nerd mode, dug through 9 years of mortgage statements, tax bills, insurance records, and receipts, and what I found genuinely shocked me. We're settling this debate once and for all. Is owning a home in retirement actually smart? Or is renting the secret weapon nobody's talking about? Let's get into it. Here's the thing. There's real comfort in knowing no landlord can show up and raise your rent or kick you out. That feeling of security, it's real. But here's what nobody tells you. Emotional comfort and financial freedom are not the same thing. Even with a completely paid-off mortgage, owning a home is never truly free. Property taxes, homeowners insurance, maintenance, repairs, HOA fees if you're unlucky enough to have them. These costs don't retire just because you do. Roofs wear out. HVAC systems die at the worst possible moment. And as we get older, dealing with repairs becomes either more stressful or a lot more expensive when you have to hire someone else to handle it. So I decided to put my own situation under the microscope. I bought my house in 2016 for $200,000. I rolled over about $100,000 in equity from my previous home, so my actual mortgage was around $100,000. I made extra payments to get it paid off before retirement, and it worked. The house is mine, free and clear, but here's where it gets really interesting. I asked myself, what if I had rented this whole time instead? I went back through everything, every mortgage statement, every insurance bill, every tax notice, every repair receipt. It took a while, but honestly, as a self-proclaimed numbers nerd, I had a blast doing it. Here's what I actually paid over 9 years of owning. Mortgage payments, fees, and interest, $142,900 total invested into this home. On top of that, $4,870 in homeowners insurance, $20,178 in property taxes. Yeah, that one stings. And $6,215 in maintenance. No HOA fees, thankfully. And I've been pretty lucky. The house is only 12 years old, so no major disasters yet. No new roof, no emergency HVAC replacement. Not yet, anyway. Grand total to own over 9 years, $142,900. Now, Zillow says my house is worth $372,500 today. That means if I sold right now, I'd walk away $229,600 ahead. About $100,000 of that came from my original equity, but still, that's a serious number. Now let's look at the other side of the coin. If I had been renting this whole time, I wouldn't have lived in an apartment. I'm a light sleeper, and that would have been a nightmare. I would have rented a small house similar to what I have now. Running the numbers on rent from late 2016 through 2025 for my area, $190,300 in rent. Add in renter's insurance at roughly $20 a month, which weirdly barely changed over 9 years. That's another $2,120. Total cost to rent over 9 years, $200,120. But wait, remember that $100,000 in equity I brought in from my last house? If I had rented instead of buying, I could have used that money to cover rent costs. So let's subtract it. Real cost to rent over 9 years, $100,120. So here's the side-by-side breakdown you've been waiting for. Owning, up $229,600. Renting, down $100,520. That's a difference of $330,120. Even accounting for years when home values dropped, like the early 90s or 2006 to 2008, or if I'd owned an older home with much higher maintenance costs, we're probably not closing a $330,000 gap. Mathematically, for my situation, owning won by a landslide. But, and this is important, renting isn't the villain it's made out to be, especially in retirement. When you rent, there are 0 surprise repair bills, no property taxes, no maintenance headaches. If something breaks, you make one phone call and go back to your coffee. You can downsize, relocate, or completely change your lifestyle without being tied down. If you want to travel, explore, or aren't sure where you want to settle long term, renting gives you something owning simply can't: freedom. The flip side? Rent can increase. You don't control your long-term costs, and you're building zero equity. So the real question isn't just which is cheaper, it's which risk do you prefer. Now let me blow your mind with the 19-year projection. If I stay in my home another 10 years, here's what I'm looking at. I'm freezing my property taxes at 61, so that cost stabilizes. But insurance keeps climbing, and I'm factoring in a new roof and HVAC replacement, because those are basically inevitable over a 19-year stretch. Projected total cost to own over 19 years, $238,050. And if my home follows a similar growth trajectory, it could be worth around $572,500 in 10 years. That would put me $334,795 ahead. Now the renting side over 19 years, adjusted for estimated inflation, $545,920 in total rent and renter's insurance. Subtract that original $100,000 in equity, and the real cost is $445,920 in the hole. Owning versus renting over 19 years, a difference of $779,415. And here's the kicker. Even if I underestimated home maintenance by $100,000 and overestimated my home's future value by $100,000, we're still looking at a $579,415 difference. That is not a small number, people. Now look, I know this isn't a one-size-fits-all answer. The cost of living varies wildly depending on where you live. Maybe you dream of slow traveling the world in retirement. Maybe you crave simplicity over stability. Owning isn't always the right answer. But here's how I think about it. Own if you love your home and your community, you're comfortable handling maintenance, and your housing costs are manageable relative to your income. Rent if you want flexibility, you hate surprise expenses, or you're not sure where life is taking you next. And speaking of not knowing where life takes you, I might move someday. My youngest son and 2 of my grandkids live nearby, but my oldest son is 3 hours away, and my daughter is 4 hours in the other direction. If my youngest ever relocates, there's nothing keeping me here. And if that happens, I've got options. I could rent my house out and use that income to pay rent or a mortgage somewhere new, or I could sell and use that equity to buy wherever I land. That's the thing about building equity. It gives you choices. So what's the bottom line? For me, owning was absolutely the right move. But your best move depends on your life, your goals, your flexibility, your risk tolerance, and what genuinely makes you happy. What about you? Are you team own or team rent in retirement? Drop it in the comments. I genuinely want to know where you land on this. If this is your first time here, hi, I'm Julie, and this is Happy on Monday. If you found this helpful, please hit that like button. And if you're interested in retiring early and living life on your own terms, subscribe. We talk about this stuff all the time. I'll leave you with this. There is something permanent and something extremely profound in owning a home. See you in the next one.